How are you, Doug?
I'm doing well, my man. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. Are you kidding me? Let's talk about this Seattle Seahawks season before we get to the televisions. What is the mindset here? What is the mindset of this team entering a big, huge game, if not the biggest marquee afternoon game of Week 1 against the Green Bay Packers, Doug?
Yeah, this entire offseason, we kind of just wanted to get back to basics of who we are as the Seattle Seahawks, and basically that comes down to just having fun. You know, if we have fun, then we know that we're going to execute at a high level. We're gonna play with passion and tenacity and aggressiveness. But it comes down to us having fun, and that's really what we're trying to do. We just want to have fun with our teammates out there playing the sport that we love.
Well, it's interesting that that's the word you use, Doug. I would say a lot of the reports and a lot of the articles that are written is that this team, yes, likes to have fun, but there always has to have some sort of undercurrent of controversy that keeps you guys, I guess, energized. Is that a valid evaluation of your locker room, Doug?
I don't know if that we need it. We necessarily need it. I just think that, you know, for any human being, right, it's when your back's against the wall, when you have adversity, you know, you're either going to come out of it better or you're going to allow that adversity to weigh you down. And we have elite competitors in our locker room. You know, I'm not going to say elite athletes. Obviously, everybody in the NFL is an elite athlete, and there's a lot of elite athletes that aren't in the NFL, but we're elite competitors. You know, and when we face adversity, when we have those challenges, we look forward to them. And more times than not, we're going to come out on top. And I think that's basically what you're seeing is that, you know, when we have our adversity, we thrive in those conditions. And so that it's no different for any other human being, and especially for these elite competitors. And we enjoy that. So that's basically what it is.
If you had to choose an adjective to describe the relationship between the offensive and defensive units of this team, what would that adjective be, Doug Baldwin?
I don't know if I could use one adjective to describe that. I would just say that the term that comes to mind is iron sharpens iron. You know, and sometimes it's not always pretty. When you're sharpening something, sometimes, you know, sparks fly and you have that friction. But that's the important aspect of it. That's why you know, you're sharpening that tool. And so I think that's the perfect analogy that I can use to represent our relationship.
Now, in terms of Sherman with your quarterback and Russell Wilson, would you say you're a buffer? That you're a Stanford guy and Sherman's a Stanford guy and you're obviously a Russell Wilson guy being on that offense. Would that be another valid assessment of your role, Doug?
No, not a buffer. I know the perception is that Russell and Sherman have some major difference, but it's not true. I mean, again, it goes back to the analogy of iron sharpening iron. You know, these guys are two elite competitors, and you know, they don't always see eye to eye, and that's good because if they did, then, you know, where's the growth in that? We need that conflict at times, and, you know, it's not a divisive or destructive conflict because those guys are both very mature and very intelligent, and they can utilize strengthening each other for the better of each other. And so, no, I don't need to be a buffer because those guys, they have it under control.
Seahawks wide receiver Doug Baldwin joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. What were your thoughts on Jermaine Kearse now being with the Jets? You do get a very supremely talented guy on the defensive line in Sheldon Richardson, but somebody from your wide receiver core and wide receiver room is now wearing different green on the outset of the season. Doug, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, this time of the season, or after the last preseason game, I should say, is probably one of the most difficult times emotionally for football players because, you know, like you said, you lose people that you've become really close to. Guys who are vying for an opportunity on teams don't get to stay. You know, regardless of their effort that they give. So it's a difficult time for us, and obviously losing probably one of my best friends on the team, who I've grown with for the past 6 years. It was tough. It was definitely an emotional hit and a surprise. But I'm an optimistic person. And I look at his opportunity over there with the Jets to get to showcase his talents with a pretty good quarterback, and a team that's trying to figure it out. So, and obviously, like you said, we did get a great teammate in return, and I've already seen the type of person he is and the type of player he's going to be for our defense. So, I do believe that it's a win-win for both sides, even though it is sad to see my best friend go.
Yeah, and it's interesting, and I'd love to just stay on this topic a little bit, Doug, about the cuts, right? The Turk visiting on, of all weekends, by the way, a weekend named Labor Day weekend. It's really ironic in that way that, you got guys who have hopes and dreams dashed, and now they're on either unemployment or trying to figure out what their next gig is going to be. And I'm wondering if you wear the way you came into this league, every snap, every play, that's the way that you make sure that you stay at an elite level, Doug. I'd love to get your mindset on all that.
Yeah, my mentality has never been about trying to, win is the best way I can describe it. It's not about specifically just winning. I love to compete. Right? I just love to be counted out, and the negativity to believe that I'm not going to make it, and that's technically been my entire life in the football world. Is I've had to prove somebody wrong, but not only proving somebody wrong, but I've also had to prove myself right, because as a human, I do have my internal doubts about myself as well. So that's always been my mentality. And yeah, coming into the NFL, being undrafted, again, had to prove others wrong, of course, but also prove myself right, that I am capable of playing in this league. And then once I got here, realizing, okay, Doug, what can you do in this league? Can you be an elite player? And so again, proving others wrong, but also proving myself right. So that's the mentality that I have every time I step out on that football field, is that I have an opportunity again to prove myself right, to utilize the blessings that God has given me, and not take them for granted, and showcase them on a platform. So that's my mentality every time I step out on the football field.
And you also, when you step off the football field, understand that there's a platform for you as well. And last we spoke on this show, Doug, I think the Attorney General of the state of Washington tweeted at you to say, let's talk about what's on your mind about policing, about community relations. And I'm wondering where that stands with you, Doug, and the rest of your teammates right now.
Yeah, so right now, obviously, Michael Bennett is continuing the conversation outside of the organization. But I'm working diligently right now internally to make our organization a model for the rest of the NFL, or the rest of the sports teams. We're doing a lot of things internally. I don't want to speak on it right now, because I want to generate more of a story behind it. But we're doing a lot of work. We're trying to educate ourselves in the grand picture of everything, and trying to make a difference. But obviously, like I said before on your show, is that we have to learn as much as we can first before we can do that.
So then, let's go a little bit macro then, instead of getting into the nitty-gritty details. What do you mean about being a template for other teams and for other teams in sports? What do you mean by that?
Well, I think obviously there's been this conversation that was started last year, a year and a half ago. But now we want to further that. What do we do with this conversation? And first and foremost, we have to get on the same page is how do we discuss this, and what's the proper language? And that's important. If we're going to have the conversation, we all need to utilize the same language. So that's where I'm starting now, is we're going to get on the same page about this language, about what it means, the different definitions. And again, I don't want to get too much into it, but sure, what it means to have this conversation. And then that way everybody's on the same page, and then we can discuss more in depth and through emotion and experiences of what life really means to the different people and different perspectives. And then hopefully that injects some empathy into the people that we're going to be working with in our organization to help further this conversation. And then the call to action is basically to have this conversation outside of the facility with their family members, with their friends, and then obviously with their children, so that this type of mentality, this type of thought process of being willing to accept others even when they're different from you, will manifest itself for future generations.
Couple more minutes with Doug Baldwin of the Seattle Seahawks here on the Rich Eisen Show. What are you doing with Vizio? Big screens for big plays. What's this all about, Doug?
I'm helping them support this program they got going on. So this year, every time a play of 40 yards or more ends with a touchdown, Vizio will be giving away a 50-inch M-Series SmartCast display. It's real simple. Anyone can go and sign up and enter for a chance to win. All you got to do is go to Vizio.com /big plays. It's real simple.
Vizio.com/big plays. And then last we heard from Sherman, he wrote this piece for the Players Tribune about his biggest challenge wasn't anything in the locker room, it was baby-proofing his house. Can you give us an update on that, Doug? Any update on that?
Yeah, he's doing really well.
Okay.
Obviously he's had to make some adjustments as a new father, but he's doing extremely well with that.
Proof that you can be a shutdown corner in the NFL, but you can't shut down those little ones. Can you, Doug? You know, when it comes down to it.
No, you can't. It's a difficult task for sure.
Okay. And how's Tyler Lockett doing before I let you go? Can you give me something on him at all?
Yeah, he's doing really well. You know, he's definitely ahead of schedule and always smiling. So we can't wait to see him out there again.
Okay. And you keeping an eye on Oakland to see how Beast Mode's doing at all?
Of course. Keeping an eye on Oakland, keeping an eye on the Jets, keeping an eye on the Browns. You know, I got a lot of friends in the league right now, so just enjoying their success.
Well, Doug, I'm enjoying your success. Always love having you on. Please do, when you want to put more meat on the bones about what you're doing internally, please call back. I'd love to hear about it.
I will do. Appreciate that, Rich.
You got it. Good luck this season. That's Doug Baldwin, at Doug Baldwin Jr. Jr. on Twitter.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you like that, please download our app. There's lots of fun things there other than just more of the videos you just saw. You can call us from the app. You can email us from the app. Just download it. Trust me, you'll enjoy it.